I said a few days ago, when introducing the Gospel of Luke, that the Gospel of Luke was known, besides many other names, as the Gospel of Prayer, because Jesus is shown praying more often than Luke than in any other Gospel. In the Gospel text of today, we begin by encountering a Jesus who has gone up to the hills to pray. And the reason why he goes into the hills, because the hills and mountains were considered as theological places, as places where one went up to God, as places where one ascended in order to encounter God. And even as Jesus prays, when he completes his prayer, he comes down from the hills. And what does he do? He realizes that this mission of his, the manifesto that he proclaimed a few days ago, to preach good news to the poor, to proclaim recovery of sight to the blind, to proclaim healing to the oppressed, and the acceptable year of the Lord, cannot be done by him alone. And so he chooses 12 representatives. The number 12 is a symbolic figure. In the Old Testament, there were 12 tribes of Israel, the 12 sons of Jacob. And so the number 12 is a number in the scriptures which is regarded as a complete number. I also said earlier that the Gospel of Luke is a gospel of women, because in the Gospel of Luke there are women disciples. And that is why, though 12 named in today's text are men, there is no reason not to believe that there were also women who were close to Jesus, who associated with him, and who helped him in his work, as is very explicitly mentioned in Luke chapter 8, verses 1 to 3. After choosing these men, we realize that most of these men were weak individuals, that most of these men were sinners, that most of these men did not have any inherent ability to do what Jesus said, to do what Jesus did. Why then did Jesus choose these weak individuals? Why then did Jesus choose sinners? Because he realized that he has come not for those who are self-sufficient. He has come not for those who are self-righteous, not for those who think that they need nothing and have everything in themselves. He has come for those who need him. And these men, weak, sinners, frail, able to fall at the slightest instance, are men chosen by Jesus to continue to further his work. Today, 2,000 years later, Jesus is choosing the same weak individuals, the same sinners, the same frail men and women to profess, to proclaim, to make known that message. If anyone professes to be a Christian, if anyone professes to be a disciple of Jesus, he or she is chosen by him and chosen to make the manifesto of Jesus a reality, of proclaiming good news primarily to the poor, of recovery of sight to the blind, of healing those who are oppressed in any way, and of proclaiming that God loves all. Will you be such a disciple today? Despite your frailty, despite your sinfulness, despite your weakness, despite the fact that you fall.